Okay, good morning, valued investors. It's a pleasure to welcome you to another edition of our Monday weekly market review, and we hope this review will guide you in taking some investment decision within the week. So, in the course of the week, we saw all share index moving up. We saw all share index moving up. For the 5 trading days of last week, all share index recorded a positive outing. Monday to Wednesday, it was a positive outing for the all share index. The same thing on Friday. So for the entire 5 trading days of last week, all share index had 4 days out of 5 days positive outing, making all share index to close 0.87 week on week. And then that actually took our market current all share index to 100,539.0 basis points, about 0.87%. And then in terms of year-to-date return, we are currently at 34.46%, which is still higher than the current inflation rate by 0.27 basis points. So in terms of a trade turnover in the course of week, because it's important we see activities around volume and value. So some of those things will help our investment decision, and to also have an idea of what is happening in the market. It's not about just price gainer or price loser all the time. So in terms of the trade turnover, uh, a turnover of a 2.8 billion shares worth 42.3 billion naira was traded last week by investors on the exchange. And then if we compare that to what happened in the previous week, it was higher by 3% in terms of volume. And then it was also lesser than 85.23 billion market did in the last week, which is also almost 50%. So the financial service sector still topped the charts. In terms of the transaction that took place in financial service firm, so out of 2.8 billion units of shares, financial service firm cornered 2.17 billion, worth 30.67 billion. And in terms of contribution, now gave about 7.08% in terms of volume, and then in terms of value, 72.38% to the entire trade transaction in our equities market, both volume and value. And we also saw that the top three banks, I mean, it's stocks, Dice Bank, Kutis, and FCMB accounted for 1.14 billion, worth 4.63 billion naira. And in terms of contribution, these three stock or three listed companies also contributed 40.32% to the volume and then 10.93% to the equity value in our market. So as of today, our year-to-date return, we are 34.46%. It's still better than where we are coming from, and it's slightly above inflation, though a lower higher year-to-date return is better, because by the time you look at the real rate of return, the points or the figures is still very marginal. But we hope all the effort being put in place by the concerned authorities in the area of a fiscal and monetary will still bring down inflation in the subsequent months, and that will increase the gap between the inflation and the year-to-date return. We also look at our sectoral performance in the course of the week. Out of the 5 major indices under our coverage, it was only one sector that recorded the positive, NGS in industrial, and we saw more buy interest in West African Portland Cements and then the Kutis PLC because of the strong corporate action in the area of dividends and the area of bonus as well. People are still taking more position. They want to benefit from that windfall the company has actually given in the bonus and the dividend. So that still push the NGS industrial up by 0.08%. GS Banking also shared 0.5%. NGS Consumer 0.1%, NGS Insurance 4.86%, and NGL Long also depreciated by 0.10%. You could see that the NGS Banking lost 0.5% is quite huge, because we saw a lot of profit taking from the major banks, the likes of Zenith Bank. We saw profit taking, price coming from 39 to around 37 naira. The same thing GTB, the same thing Stanbic IBTC, Wema Bank, and Jais Bank. Because of the news that also filtered into the market regarding federal government taking a windfall tax on foreign exchange of the bank. So when information flows into the market, of course, you see a reaction. So, but that issue will still be discussed further in the by the time we are talking about our actions and expectations for the week. So our Week to day performance 0.87, month to day is still very positive for the month, 0.48%. And our quarter today, we are in the Q3 of 2024. We are still at 0.8%. Our year to day return, I've said, is still currently at 24.46%. It's still very good. So we expect to see more moderation in the inflation. In the course of last week, we were able to throw more light, more of insight into the public offerings of the banks. As at now, only 3 banks have indicated interest in raising capital to meet the CBN deadline of the recapitalization exercise. Access Bank still maintaining the central banking license of 500 billion. The right issue is still ongoing. We are still encouraging all our valued customers to fill their form and send their form to us. And then we're also looking at Fidelity Bank as well. They are still maintaining a national banking license of 200 billion. Their right issue and the public offering is still currently going on, and it's currently trading above the right issue price and the public offering. We're also encouraging you, because we've done more analysis on that, that is a stock you can also add to your to the flavor of your portfolio. So, and then the GTB as well is also currently ongoing, even though it closed around 44 naira 95 kobo on Friday. But we are hoping that you are likely to see more rally around the GTB. So looking at those parameters, those key financial metrics that will determine the performance of this bank in the futuristic. And we are still encouraging people to still take position in the GTB public offering. So fill your form and then submit it to us. We'll remit accordingly for you. And in terms of our lead weekly recommendation, we have also we review our recommendation on weekly basis, the buy, sell, hold, and it's very important to allow this recommendation to assist you in taking your decision. Don't just don't follow the crowd. All these recommendations are based on various financial metrics. We look at earnings per share, we look at dividend yields, we look at price to book ratio, we look at return on asset, return of equity. All the financial metrics you can actually use to determine the value or the performance of any listed stock in the market has been factored into this analysis. So we have done a total analysis. There's no time for us to be taking you through how we have been able to arrive at all these prices, all this upside potential. But trust our judgments, because we've been very consistent in giving you sound recommendations that will assist you in your investment decision. If there's area you think needed clarification that you are not, you need to consult us further. We're always very available. All our various contact numbers and our customer service, we can reach out to us. We will be available to you. Our research team will be willing from time to time to interact with you and give you appropriate advice that will get your investment decision. So our top recommendation is an extraction for our numerous recommendation. We've sent it out. Our research team has sent it out. And then we just extracted about almost 31 from those various indices from those recommendations. And then from 1 to 19, we are placing it on buy recommendation. Access Bank sit top our recommendation. Fidelity Bank, GTB, UPA, Sterling Bank, and the Stanbic IBTC, and a few other ones across other indices. So 1 to 19 is still our buy recommendation, and the 20 to 30 is still hold. We are still placing on hold, because some of the things we usually do sometimes is to consider earnings per share and look at the industry average to guide our decision. That's why from time to time you see those recommendations changing. They are not static. Even in the course of the week, you see those recommendations, they buy changing to hold or changing to sell, because information comes into the market on daily basis, on every minute, every second. When you have new information, you use such information to update the slide and to change those variables, and then we'll reach out to you appropriately. So 1 to 20 to 30 is still our old recommendation. While MRS, we are placing MRS on sell, is the only sell recommendation we have from this extraction from our numerous recommendations. In terms of our expectation and projections for the week, we expect, last week we saw Nigerian Exchange Limited. They are delisting about 3 companies for not meeting up the requirement that is expected from any company that is listed in the market. Niger Insurance has been delisted. If you look at the capitalization of Niger Insurance, about 2.9 billion, RAC Unity about 17 million naira, and then Resort Savings, that's almost 2.7 billion in terms of capitalization, looking at it from the point of float. So by the time you look at the combined listing of these 3 companies, that's over 5 billion. That will be taken out of our NGX market capitalization. So we expect depreciation on NGX market capitalization we expect some stock of buying interest in value stock that depreciated substantially. You see people coming to the market again, the likes of Zenith, because the price is still very reasonable. Within local equity, we have a mixed mode this week with foundation investor appetite throughout the week. We also expect profit taking in the course of the week. We're also anticipating conflicting feelings in equities market, very strained, because the MPC Committee of Central Bank will meet today and tomorrow, and then there's tendency for them to also tinker to hike the interest rate, because the big elephant in the house is still not coming down. Though it's still going up at a decreasing rate, but there's tendency for the regulatory authority to also hike the rate. We are looking at between 50 and 150 basis points to the current 26.25%. We expect MPR to also go up within those basis points. So that is going to affect the market, because one auction is taking place today. Wednesday, we're also expecting TB auctions to also take place within the market. Some of those things will move funds from the equities market to the fixed income market. That will depreciate the equities market. So we anticipate that the stock market will end the week on a negative territory. So this is the expectation for the week. So having said that, it's the time for the fixed income and money market presentation. My colleagues will take us through that, and thereafter we'll take a question from various customers. Thank you very much.
Okay,
back to you, Sam.
All right, so thank you very much for the presentation of equities. So starting on the notes where he stopped, he had mentioned that this week there will be two major auctions holding this week, and we expect that those would move the market. Starting with the NTB auction. Probably we should start with the bond auction, which is all taking place today. At today's auction, we expect that about 300 billion worth of FGN bonds will be on offer across three different maturities, 29, the 31, and the 33 maturities. So we expect some of those things to actually be the market movers. So quickly, we'll look at the money market rate. Last week, in line with our projection, we had expected that we should see some form of ease in the market, as we expect that liquidity would take some pull. And we actually saw that play out. Our system liquidity declined. Improved, although still at the negative zones, from about 660 billion negative to negative 400 billion last week. And the major propellant for this has been that the bank's exposure to SLF. We've seen that in recent times, past 2 weeks, banks have been overly exposed to the standing lending facility from the CBN, which is also a major factor for the increased funding rates that we've seen in the market for the past 2 days. Sorry. And consequently, we saw that the open buyback rates are close at 31.39, declining by 22 basis points, while the overnight rates closed at 32.02%, declining by 43 basis points from the previous week. System liquidity was like the major trigger across the various segments of the market. As you also saw that the treasury bills market are close on a bearish note, fueling by improved supply we saw on that end of the market. There's this direct correlation between liquidity in the market and activities in the market. When the market is very tight, you tend to see people putting up their holdings on offer. So basically, that was what also in the market last week, as we saw that most banks, who were the major players in the market, they put up most of their offers at the short end of the curve just to risk liquidity. So as a result of that, we saw that yields expanded by 156 basis points to 24.889. And also another major factor there, we saw that the market is beginning to price the decision of the MPC today and tomorrow. I think that was last week, the CBN chief had said that as long as inflation continues to rise, we would likely see a continuous increase in the MPR. So we saw that playing out significantly in the market last week. But for the OMO segment, we saw bearish sentiment also in that market, as yields advanced by marginal 7 basis points to close at 24.31. Later this week on Wednesday, we expect that the CBN would roll over the maturity of 277 billion worth of NTB across 3 different maturities: the 91, the 182, and the 364 day. And as a refresher, we saw that the last option, the 91-day rate closed at 16.3, 182-day 17.4, and 364-day 21.24. The reason we keep bringing this back to us is that to make us see what's happening in the market and to probably spur our decision. And if you think that the volume or the size is a major determinant, which is where products we offer in-house come in, We have the Lead Fixed Income Fund, which invests largely and strictly in the fixed income market. You have up to the 50 million and 1,000 minimum size to go for the auction. Your 5 million, your 1 million, your 500,000, can give you a very good, can actually be of good use for you in the various funds that we have. And, this is a call on all our investors. If you don't have the access or you don't have the power to go for the auction directly, the various funds are also avenues for you to take advantage of the current elevated rates and yields in the market. So for the bonds market, we also saw the same similar sentiment where the market closed bearish. I had said earlier that the major trigger in the market last week was the liquidity that was very tight. So we saw a number of sell-offs as well on the back of the tight liquidity where people had to put a part of their holdings to raise money. So average across the various maturities, you can see on the short end of the curve, we saw a marginal increase of about 9 basis points. And then from the mid to the long end of the curve, we also saw another increase of 18 basis points. As you can see on the curve there, the short end of the curve still seems like where most of the activities have been ongoing, and that's all thanks to the various maturities we've seen at the auction throughout this year. So the maturities that were actively traded last week, we saw the 2025s, we saw the 2033s, 34s, and 2050s. They were the maturities that took dominance in the market last week. And on average, across the entire yield curve, we saw that the yield expanded by 15 basis points to close at 19.41. Foreign exchange market still continues to take the dynamics, although not so good dynamics, but we've seen that for the past 3, 4, 5 weeks, we've seen a continuous depreciation in Naira. And last week, we also saw similar sentiment played out, where at the official window, Naira depreciated by 212 basis points to close at 1,596 Naira and 92 kobo. And across the various forward contracts, we can also see from the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 6 month, and the 1 year contracts, we saw similar sentiment played out where Naira further depreciated. Significantly, we can see on the 1 year, Naira seems to be touching about $2,000 on that end, which is not a good thing, for the economy. And we'll continue to make a call, or probably to continue to emphasize until we see some deliberate and some distinctive actions being taken by the fiscal side. The monetary side is doing all its best, but I think that their effort also needs to be complemented by the fiscal side of the market for us to achieve the desirable results in the economy. Although we saw last week that the CBN also took some initiative to begin the sales of dollars to the BDCs. I think at the fixed rate of 1,450, we expect that would kind of soften the ground for this week, where Naira would take some coolant, and we should see some moderation in the rates for the week. What are the expectations for the week in the market? Like we've rightly said, 2 major activities are going to take place this week. That's the bond auction and the OMO auction, and the NTB auction. So we expect those to further put pressure on system liquidity. As on the NTB auction, we are expecting about 277 billion worth of NTB to be on offer, while on the bond auction about 300 billion. That's in total roughly 600 billion. So if both the CBN and the DM are able to pull through on that, we see that having a major impact on the funding rates. And for the treasury bills market, we expect that they will be determined by the auction result, and same with the bonds market. So quickly on our various products, like I mentioned earlier, you don't have the power to go into the market as an individual, because for you to enjoy some of all these benefits in the the treasury bills market, you need a minimum size of 50 million. But that's where all these products come in with as low as 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. You can also enjoy the dividend of the current happenings in the market by investing in the fixed income fund, which is a strictly fixed income product. The lead balance fund, it has a dynamics of both the fixed income market and the equities market. You feel like you want to enjoy the benefits in the equity space and also in the fixed income space. That is a very good product for you. Also with as low as 50, 100,000, 200,000 and above, you can also enjoy and partake in this fund. And for the lead dollar fund, you have dollars and you're looking at investing. This is also a very good product for you. Same with our lead Gazelle portfolio. This particular products offers fixed rates across tenors from 90 to 365 days. This is also something to key into. Like I said, the major impediment, or probably the major constraints for most investors, it'll be like, why we're not taking actions, or you don't see our hands in the fixed income space. It's because of that limited size or that restriction. But these various products will give you access into the market between 5 million, 10 million. You can invest and place in the Leaf Gazelle portfolio. And you also get to enjoy the benefits that those who go to the auction enjoy directly. Also, there's also an benefit for Eurobond trading. You have dollars, you're looking at investing, you're not so sure what to do. The Eurobond trading is also something you can look at as you get to enjoy fixed coupon across different countries in the SSAs. And I'm very certain that with all of these products, you will be positioned to making a financial and investment prosperity. So now is the time for us to take your questions and your answers, if there are any. With this, come to the end of the presentation. Questions? You can either use the chat box or you can signify by a raise of hand. Okay, we have Mr. Lainka. Mr. Lainka, you've been unmuted. You can ask the question, sir.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Good morning, sir.
All right. Yeah, sorry. It's a quick question around Access Bank. You said the form is somewhere and we can fill the form and submit it to you. Is that through the normal process of submitting an order with Lead Capital, or how do we go about that? Where is the form located?
Since the commencement of the rights issue, we've been sending out mails on at least within 3 times in a week. We've sent out the circular from the issuer, and we have also sent the application form. So except if you haven't received it, or if you haven't received it, we can forward the form to you, sir. But we've been sending it out. And the requirement is that you look at the form and then you indicate your holdings, what you actually wanted to pick as your right. You state it there, and you can scan it back to our customer service, which is customerservice@leadcapital.ng.com, and then you fund your account just like you are making payment for the regular equities. By the time we want to remit, we just debit the account with the value of the right issue. So if you haven't received the form, sir, Mr. Lainka Kazim, we're going to send the form to you after this program.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thanks.
You're welcome, sir.
Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Lainka, for your question. If there are more other questions, you can signify by a raise of hand, or you can type your questions out in the chat box. Questions and answers. So time for questions and answers. In case you're just joining, the floor is open for questions, clarifications, comments. Okay, we have a question here. Can payment be made through third-party accounts? I'm not so sure. Okay, no. If you mean that we can move payment out of Lead Capital to a third party's account, no. But however, I believe that you can fund.
Yes. Sorry, please. The payment, if you sell your shares, we can't pay to third party, and the same process because it's a regulated business. So our regulator prohibits payment through third party. So if you want to make payments for the right issue, you can fund your account and then transfer to us. Or if you want to buy, and we don't accept cash. The requirement says the maximum cash you can pay into the account is just 50,000. If you want to buy, you have to make a transfer.
Okay, thank you. Is the windfall tax on banks' forex gain a proposal by the FG or a definite action? What effect will this have in shares of banks going forward?
Okay, thank you. I think I said something briefly about it. For now, it's for 2023 financials. So you see the proposal. I'm sure more discussion will still come on board regarding that, because the plan for 2023 for the banks has been submitted. And then the windfall tax has to do with the realized foreign exchange revaluation gains. So if those assets being held by banks in volume-denominated assets are in their position, the federal government cannot tax them. But account for is on 2023, but I believe we'll still get, there have been concern around that because the amendment has been the bill has been sent to the National Assembly to amend. But for now, we should not allow that to discourage us or to from selling the bank. But I think by the time that issue is being resolved, we're going to have a clearer court explanation. But for now, it's not as if they tax the bank. I think the amount we are talking about is we are looking at over 450 billion. So that's for the sector that's actually benefited from foreign exchange gain. So is what would be the impact is that if the action is exercised, it's going to deplete the profit after tax and the capital adequacy of the banks. But until it's exercised, don't let us second guess what is going to happen to the financial or the branches of the banks.
Okay. What are the implications on the Oando court ruling?
I think the court has actually dispelled the request for the company to be delisted, but we are not sure whether the Oando PLC is still going to appeal. The court has issued a judgment in favor of the shareholders that the company cannot be delisted. But in our recommendation, and we are still not putting it because when you look at the process of a court in Nigeria, from the High Court to the Court of Appeal, from the Supreme Court. We are not sure whether case can be texted to the Supreme Court, but for now, it's not part of our recommendation because the issue of delisting or delisting is still lingering. So for now, we are not. It's not in our recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, the Forex issue is not abating any solution in sight. As we all are aware, the solution to this problem seems to be known by all, but why are we not getting a definite breakthrough in that aspect? What are the major sources of FX for the country? Number one, you can see that the crude oil production and crude oil exports is the top on the list. Our last production capacity as of June was about 1.2 million barrels per day, which is way below the 1.7 million as allocated by OPEC. So how can we abate this? How can we make significant gains in this aspect of the market? Number one, ramp up our crude oil production, block as many loopholes as possible, and the whole saga we've seen in recent times with Dangote and the federal government can just give us an insight into why it seems like that aspect of the market is not booming or thriving as it may. We believe that there's certain elements or certain things going on in that aspect of the market that needs to be thoroughly investigated. So we hope that once some of those blockages and those loopholes are blocked or are taken out of the way, crude oil productions are ramped up, we should see some significant gains in that side or in that aspect of the market.
Okay.
I thought there's an online filing for taking up the offer for access for both the public offer and rights issue.
Okay, thank you. Access back, I think it's only the right issue they are trying to raise. They want to do right issue. And yes, there's a platform from the NGS that you can actually fill the form. But from experience in the last 3-4 years regarding the issue of public or right issue, we usually encourage our customers to fill the form and route their transaction through us because that actually happened during the MTN public offer. So people were asked to fill the form online, they did it. But if you want to do anything in the capital market, you need to have a stockbroker, all these CSK number, clearinghouse number, and the CSS account number. So we've seen cases when people fill the form online, as at the time they are not crediting CSS account, their shares will not be credited. If you subscribe to us, you route your application to us, we will help you to pursue it and resolve the issue. It is our duty to ensure that your account is being credited. But if you don't reach out to us, and then you want us to pursue it, it will come at a cost. So that's why we're encouraging you to fill the form and submit to us. Thank you.
All right, I think that will be all for this morning. We would like to thank each and every one of you for taking out the time to join us on this call. And we hope that you do have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.